ESPN. It's meeting number 185 of a rivalry that's been dormant since 2012. West Virginia and Pittsburgh get together at the Peterson Event Center, and you know it's a big rivalry when the backyard brawl, the name of it, is trademarked by both schools. 75 minutes or so. You drive faster, Corey Alexander. Jason Benetti along with you. This is meeting number 185. Bob Huggins has played in it. This is such a unique West Virginia team, though, a different look for Pitt.
It really is. About 4 years ago, Bob Huggins decided that he was going to go out and get his type of players, and in doing so, they became a turnover machine, and that's really what they've been this year. Lead the NCAA with a +10 turnover margin. On the opposite side, Pittsburgh struggles to handle the ball a bit. When you're ranked in 300s in the NCAA with only 351 teams, it's not something that you do well, but they're going to have to do well much better tonight, taking care of the basketball here on their home court.
You know, it's a team that's good at turning you over when you create 14 Virginia turnovers. That's what West Virginia did in a 68-61 win on Tuesday night. And the lineup is pretty much the same as what you've seen. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, makes a little bit of a change going smaller with Cameron Davis.
And they're doing that for that reason. The turnovers, they had 17 turnovers versus Mount St. Mary's, the Mountaineers that they played on Tuesday night in order to get prepared for this game.
The other Mountaineers.
Okay, we'll call them the other.
And we're off. This place is electric tonight.
It really is, and glad to see the Oakland Zoo coming out to support the Panthers. Once again, this place has been great for the Panthers having a home court advantage, and they're going to need it against these West Virginia Mountaineers.
Carter the dish to the corner, and a shot good for Lamont West.
And just like that, you see West Virginia setting up the pressure. Now, this West Virginia pressure is a little different this year. They're still press Virginia, but not the same as they've been in the past. Because they don't have the numbers that they've had before, they don't press the whole 40 minutes, but they will pick their spot still.
Kevin Stallings said that he thinks their half-court defense might be better than their full-court defense, which is scary.
Well, it really is, but that's the byproduct of them not playing full-court pressure the whole game.
Jamil Stevenson lost the ball and turned it over. There is that first turnover. Bob Huggins with a brief signal to his team. He has over 800 wins, third active in the win column.
And one of my favorites simply because no jacket, no tie, just the windbreaker. Coaching basketball the way it's supposed to be coached.
His practice gear is pretty much the same as his game gear.
Well, you have to practice like you play, right?
That's a great point.
There you go.
You should teach coaching clinics. Carter, the kick to the corner, another three in the air. Wouldn't fall this time for West Virginia. And Lamont West, who didn't get back defensively. It was 5-on-4. And this is going West Virginia's way. Lamont West opened the season a little cold from three-point range, but turned it up Tuesday. And Kevin Stallings, such a young team. He lost 10 scholarship guys after last year.
11 newcomers to this team, but one thing for certain, he now has his guys, all guys that he has recruited, and they're happy about the pieces that they have in the Panther program. The problem is they're all young and have to grow up.
West got his feet set, and he has been lethal the last two games.
And West is celebrating a little bit after it and then realizing, wait a minute, I play for Bob Huggins. I got to get in press position. There's no time to celebrate after the big three.
Just a sophomore. He will learn over time. This is not the start Pittsburgh wanted, that's for sure.
And see, this is why they don't have to go with the full court pressure as much. When you've got a guy like Javon Carter on the basketball, it's almost like having a one-man press all in itself.
This is Cameron Davis going to the free throw line. But Lamont West, 30.5% from three, that's been growing.
And 22 points against Virginia on Tuesday night, really coming out of his shell during his sophomore year and shooting the ball extremely well this season.
His mom, Tanya, was a four-year starter at Purdue, went to the Final Four in '94 with the Boilermakers, as Davis makes just his third collegiate free throw.
You know, it has to be horrible to grow up and hear you can't even beat your mom and know that it's the truth, that you really can't beat your mom.
That's true. There's a lot of learning to be done.
Absolutely.
But there's a moment where you say, it's not great.
And then if you get to a point where you can beat your mom, really should you?
Right. You feel a little bad about it.
You shouldn't beat your mom. Come on.
So you're going to do coaching clinics for fashion and also family therapy.
We are going to cover many gambits here tonight, my friend.
West thought about it, fired and missed.
He who hesitates is lost. He's been shooting the ball so well. No reason for West to hesitate on that one.
Oh, they're going to give this ball to West Virginia, and it looked like it went off of Wes Harris.
But I think that's going to be a foul on Ryan Luther, which could be his second foul early in this game.
Crowd is in disagreement.
And that is going to be 2 on Ryan Luther, the senior for Pittsburgh. Early in this game, that could be a problem for the Panthers, especially when you need experience out here handling the ball against this pressure.
Oh, a great drop off from Carter to Konate. Yeah, Luther plays 33 minutes a game. Just sheer numbers, they're going to need it. Davis got free, and we have...
I believe that's going to be a goaltend.
They are going to call it a goaltend.
Beautiful feed from Javon Carter to Konate. And Konate is 6'8", but tremendous leaping ability and the wingspan, a great shot blocker. But of course, you give him an opportunity around the basket like that, he's going to finish it.
He did not make a field goal in the Virginia game, but was strong on the boards. As the officials are talking this over, you were right, it was a goaltend, the official word. Let's take a look.
You get back, and you see they actually never blocked the basketball. That was only smacking the backboard, causing the rim to vibrate and knocking the basketball off there. Great call by the officiating crew.
Carter, Konate will go to the free throw line for 2.
And Terrell Brown into the game for Pittsburgh. And one of the things in watching Pittsburgh on tape, they struggled against Mount St. Mary's covering the pick and roll. Mount St. Mary's early in the game got a number of easy dunks and layups. And with the way that Javon Carter plays off of screens and playing in the pick and roll, I'm sure that's something that Kevin Stallings worked with his team on a lot over this week, recognizing that West Virginia would take advantage of that. They see the same tape, and they're going to attack Pittsburgh as many opportunities as they can in the pick and roll, more importantly, getting to their rim.
Konate 2 for 2, a young man who was recruited by the previous Pittsburgh regime. The pressure's going to wear you out over the course of time, isn't it?
That's really what it does. You know, when you get to the late stages of the game, it's difficult to make jump shots when you've had to deal with that pressure for 37, 38 minutes.
Drive and drop. There's a block from Konate. Oh, my gosh.
No goaltending there. Konate, who had over 50 blocks last year as a freshman, showing why he's the leader for these Mountaineers.
West lifted out, and a rebound for Davis and Pitt. Well, Lamont West isn't shy, that's for sure. And there goes the double team with Carter. Stevenson had him rejected again. The follow is a foul. Brown will go to the line. How about the energy in this building right now?
Well, how about the energy from Konate with not only blocking one shot off the beautiful reverse and going to get on the opposite side of the rim, but then challenging at the rim with Konate.
Thanks for joining us here in Pittsburgh. Great game between Cincinnati and Florida. Jason Benetti, Corey Alexander along with you. And West Virginia has taken a 10-4 lead thanks to 6 early points from the sophomore Lamont West. This is the 185th backyard brawl. They just signed a new contract, first of 4 years, that the former Big East members will play once per season.
And I can tell you who's excited about it.
Who's
the
that?
West Virginia Mountaineers, because the way that they have come out to start this game, they recognize that this is a rivalry, although no one on their roster outside of Bob Huggins has ever played in a backyard brawl. But the way that they have come out to start this game, the energy and the effort, you can tell they recognize that this is a rivalry their school has been involved in for a very long time.
Stick around later. We'll show you Bob Huggins in his West Virginia jersey.
We got Huggy Bear. Does he have on Huggy Bear shorts?
Well, something like that. 7 to shoot. Dexter Miles buries a long 3.
The third three-pointer in this early part of the game already for the Mountaineers. And Daxter Miles, who hasn't shot the ball well from three, off to a good start, but this is really where the West Virginia Mountaineers excel. Blow one there.
And a foul called on the rebound. Maybe one extra pass that time. 185th meeting from PG Green to Ronald Ramon all the way through history.
Of college basketball is brought to you by Audi.
Early lead for West Virginia, 13-5. Happy Easter. Jason Benetti, Corey Alexander. Evidently it's Easter time. I don't know about this. The turnover battle is so important in this game.
It is, and that's the way that West Virginia plays. They want to turn you over. With a +10 turnover margin, they are #1 in the NCAA. Pitt with a negative 2.4, 2.5 per game is where they struggle, and you see West Virginia coming out, showing that pressure early and often. It's one of the reasons why it's so important for West Virginia to be able to score points, because that's the only way they can set up their pressure after made field goals.
They're willing to set it up after misses, but they won't do it nearly as much.
No, not as much with this team, because Bob Huggins doesn't feel as though they have the complement of players to be able to play that way for 40 minutes. But yet, when they have their opportunities, they will definitely pick their spots to come after you.
This young man, Javon Carter, if you've not seen him, a senior out of Chicago, plays 40 minutes Tuesday night, and not only was he on the court, he played hard for 40 minutes.
And he played in foul trouble in the first half. That's another area where Bob Huggins really trusts his senior guard. Even with 2 fouls in the first half, he won't take him out, will allow him to continue to play.
Bob Huggins always willing to go deep off the bench. His bench only scored 6 points in the game against Virginia on Tuesday. And a big foul there, Corey. Terrell Brown just grabbed his second. Luther has 2 as well for Pittsburgh. Chase Harler, the local product from Moundsville, West Virginia. Miles the miss. So what do you need to see from Pitt offensively against this pressure?
Well, one of the things for Pittsburgh, Kevin Stallings is a great X's and O's coach, a coach that knows how to get his guys shots. And West Virginia, knowing that as well, does not want to allow them to be able to get into their offense. You see Javon Carter miss the wide open layup is not something you see often.
Out of bounds. This is going to West Virginia. So a loose game right now. There's a great lead feed from Miles to Carter. He missed the layup, and both ends, the rim's been under assault.
It was, but you see Carter missing the layup yet.
Can I do this promo? Are you okay with that?
Sure you can.
Roy Williams, the Tar Heels in Knoxville on Sunday. They're both off until that game. Rick Barnes and his Vols in the top 25, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app. Thank you for the leeway there.
Next time I'm going to tell you no.
To the corner, West catch and shoot, no dice. They're always playing the passing lane. I mean, as a former guard, you've got to get excited to watch, but almost feel for the other guys, right?
Well, it's difficult to play against, no question about it, because you're always looking over your shoulder for a West Virginia defender. In normal situations where you're expected just to be able to catch a basketball, you can't take anything for granted when you're playing against the Mountaineers. But there's also opportunities that you get from playing against it where you can attack, because they're often playing disadvantaged because they're giving you so much pressure on the perimeter.
That's Peace Eligoma going to the sideline, injured for Pittsburgh. He's only played in 5 games and had been practicing better. They wanted to get him a little time against West Virginia, but he's coming off.
And Eligoma getting an opportunity also because Kene Chigupa is not playing tonight. He's ill and not available for the Panthers, normally a starter. So without him, and then Luther back in the game now, we talked about Huggins trusting Javon Carter with 2 fouls. Kevin Stallings is trusting his senior with 2 fouls to be able to come out, but very dangerous, especially with 14 minutes remaining in this game. Hard to play that long for Ron Luther, especially when you play on the front line and not pick up a foul.
You'd imagine West Virginia will try to drive to his direction as that ball is airmailed on a bounce, and Ryan Luther becomes a present for a local.
You call that a present?
Well,
I mean, personally, it's not something I want to get. A big 6'9", 250-pound guy landing in my lap. Is that something that you want for a present?
Merry Christmas. We got you Ryan Luther.
So we've already had Easter and Christmas so far into the. Okay.
We're festive. What can I say?
That we are.
Bolden is checked in. He's got this jumper, and it's no good. A very strong shooter, the sophomore out of Covington, Kentucky, with that miss.
Yeah, shooting 48% from three-point range. Not a good miss there, but he's a young man that the Panthers know when he touches it, he's looking to fire.
Pitt does not look comfortable on the dribble.
Whoever looks comfortable playing against West Virginia.
Stevenson left it short, and a counterattack for the Mountaineers. No look from Miles to West. And he scores.
And Lamont West is continuing to grow. Really as that third scorer for the Panthers to go alongside Carter and Dax Miles. And if he continues to have this type of development, the team already picked preseason #2 in the Big 12 has a chance to challenge Kansas for that title.
6 points a game last year. He's up to 12 this year. And a foul called on that jumper as Parker Stewart drew the whistle. Konate called for it. And Konate was already taking a seat over on the sideline. Bob Huggins said, "Don't sit down yet. You're not subbed out." It'll happen, though, after that foul. Just kind of tagged him on the hip, Corey.
Well, it's a foul, though. It affects your shot. Isn't that a foul?
Spoken like a true shooter who was always looking for free throws.
Hey, if I miss, it's a foul. I don't care if anybody touched me or not. That's what I'm claiming anyway.
I'm sure you were fun in the rec league. 1 for 2 for Stewart. Bob Huggins, you saw, give an earful to Konate.
That's just a term of endearment. That's the way Bob Huggins shows his love to his players.
And there's a whistle going against West Virginia.
Dr. Miles going to go over and check on Stewart. Miles getting the offensive foul, showing great sportsmanship.
6-team foul against West Virginia already, and they'll have to check on Stewart.
And most likely the officials are going to go and check the monitor on this one, and that's just a swim move in order to be able to get positioned over the top. Dr. Miles taking that right arm over the top and probably catching Stewart on the bridge of the nose.
Do you think that was excessive contact?
I do not. I think that was really just trying to get post position. That's a swim move that big men have used in the game for a long time. Now, it is contact above the neck, so it could actually be a flagrant foul. Would be a flagrant one if anything, but it's still incidental contact, no question about it, nothing excessive. You see, get an opportunity to see Miles go on the post, and as the swim move goes right across the top there is where he catches Stewart across the bridge of the nose. Anytime you get hit in the nose, you're going to have that reaction, you know. Remember the time you punched me in the nose and I cried on air?
That was the first of many if we continue working together.
See right there. Miles just trying to post up the swim move over the top. This is an interesting call because, I mean, again, he did make contact to the face above the shoulders. And I would not be surprised if the officials came away with a flagrant foul on this one, but there was definitely nothing excessive about it. It was a basketball play.
And again, it's important to note that intent in these sorts of situations does not matter. It can help the overall product of what they're looking at, but by law, it's not supposed to matter incidental or otherwise.
Right. And again, it's something you saw Dr. Miles after the call was made immediately go over to check on Stewart to make sure he was okay. He knew that he had caught him across the nose, but at the same time, it definitely wasn't something that he was trying to do, just trying to get position.
We'll get the official word here in a moment.
So it will be a flagrant 1 foul for excessive contact. You know, and again, that's the letter of the law, as you mentioned. It's not about intent. It's about what actually happened. And there was contact above the neck area, which means it's going to be a flagrant foul.
And the reason they do that, if you're wondering, the reason they do that is it's so hard to judge intent. To force officials to do that would be such a mental game to work through. You never really know what a player's trying to do, so they have to take intent out of it. Stewart to the free throw line where he knocks down the first. And
there's no one from West Virginia even, you know, remotely upset about that call. They recognize that's the way the game is called now, and therefore it's no issue. But what will happen is they'll take the ball out of bounds underneath, and West Virginia will still pick up 94 feet and go after it.
Parker Stewart, who just made those 2 free throws, says that his 2 hobbies are eating and shooting. Sounds like he's very close to your heart.
Oh, see, now I offered you a brownie before the game. You just didn't want it. So I had to eat both of them.
It's not one of my hobbies. Here's Wilson Frame, the JUCO transfer, who hasn't looked much for his shot, but there he scores. Machi Bender, the sophomore on a Poland, and a turnover. Luther couldn't reel it in.
And a missed opportunity there by Pittsburgh after a 4-0 run.
West Virginia with the lead by 5. Has scored the last 5 in this game to cut the lead to 5 in the backyard brawl, and this has been a trying season for the Panthers. A couple of losses they'd like to have back, Navy and Montana among them, but they're one of 7 teams with no starters back from last year.
And when you think about the minutes there, they have the second fewest minutes, only 648 minutes returning from last year, second fewest nationally, and 11 scholarship newcomers, including 4 transfers. So when you think about what Kevin Stallings is dealing with, it's a completely different team than what he's had in the past in his first year here at Pittsburgh. But these are his guys that he's recruited outside of Brian Luther that are making a big impression for him now.
Daxter Miles, second chance. And the final thing Kevin Stallings said to his team in shoot-around today was, we got to rebound, we got to protect the ball there. They didn't rebound.
Well, that's part of what West Virginia does as well. Close to 15 offensive rebounds a game, and they're special at attacking the glass. So even when they don't score the ball well in their first opportunity, they get it back.
Lamont West cans his 3rd 3 of the game.
And no celebration that time, getting back into the press. And we've seen West Virginia actually pressing a little more in this game than they have recently, feeling as though it's something that they can use as a weapon against this young Pittsburgh team.
That time, Marcus Carr, the freshman, got caught in midair, and that's going to be called a block because Bolden was in the space of the offensive player. That's a cylinder-type play.
That's the way we saw it. Well, that's the way you saw it, but let's see what happens on the replay. You see Bolden as he establishes himself, and now as he's straight up, boom! That one went the wrong way, my friend.
I agree. I agree. That was the call.
That was the call.
But I agree.
Bolden was in a legal guarding position. That time, it was actually Wilson Frame who went outside of his cylinder to make contact against Bolden.
And reading Bob Huggins' lips, he said that was not a basketball move. That's his argument to the officiating crew, as that one got crowbarred out of bounds, and it's going to Pittsburgh. Bob Huggins' lip reading is sometimes dangerous for the FCC purposes.
But yet a hobby of yours.
Oh, yes.
You're very good at it. You were on point. So if eating is not your hobby, lip reading is.
Pitt down 10, and West Virginia always has somebody in your pocket defensively. Luther with Konate. Second defender came and helped. Teddy Allen was over. Miles sized up the 3 and then ran to the rim for 2 and a foul.
Love the decision by Dax Miles there. Had an easy 3 in transition, but he didn't want it the easy way. Dax likes it the hard way, and here you go, taking it to the rim, switching over to the left hand to be able to finish for the and one opportunity.
On a Dunbar in Baltimore, Dax Miles, you mentioned it, the shooting percentage isn't the same as he had early in his career, but you'd imagine those numbers would improve.
And I think they will. He already knocked down a three-pointer here tonight. He's a young man that, averages about 40 made threes per year over his first 3 years. So you expect him to be able to continue to shoot the basketball, and I'm sure those numbers will go up as the season goes on.
Wilson frame off the kick out to an open look for three, and Ryan Luther buries it.
And that's what you get when you can handle the pressure versus West Virginia, because they're often in scramble situations and it's very difficult for them to identify a man, so you can get easy open looks.
Javon Carter, what a nifty move with the left.
But what you cannot do is defend that young man. Javon Carter gets to the basket whenever he feels like it, averaging over 19 points per game, and now getting it done offensively just as much of a threat offensively as he is defensively.
Carr might have traveled. He got fouled first. Javon Carter, the most experienced guard in Division I basketball, 117 games.
And when you see this, an opportunity to get to the rim, but the strong upper body and finishing with the left hand. Carter was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year last year. Has a chance to have a year similar to what Frank Mason did a year ago. Not only is the Big 12 Player of the Year, but a chance to be a National Player of the Year candidate.
I know there are a lot of great point guards in the Big 12, but he's got to be in the conversation about being the best point guard in the conference because of the defense, right?
He's in the conversation of being the best point guard in the country. When you look at what he does, the 4.2 steals per game, you're not just thinking about what he does to you offensively, but he's the type of guy as a point guard, when you catch the basketball, you have to always have an awareness as to where he is on the court, because he puts that much pressure on you on both ends of the floor.
Who does he remind you of maybe that you played against, if anybody?
Mookie Blaylock.
Really?
I believe the Mookie Blaylock, especially when Mookie was at Oklahoma and then playing against him in the NBA. Carter is bigger than Muggsy Bogues, so therefore he doesn't present that same challenge, but a guy like Mookie Blaylock is somebody that Javon Carter reminds me of, just so much pressure on both ends of the floor.
Miles makes it 11. Pressure is all over Carr. And again, backcourt heavy with freshmen for Pitt. Here's one of them. Carr fouled by Teddy Allen.
Fouls take away some exciting blocks. Konate coming over once again. And a great job by Carr continuing to attack the rim. But look at Konate just covering so much ground and giving no opportunities for the Pitt Panthers to get easy ones.
Sagaba Konate, who came to the U.S. before his junior year of high school from Mali in Africa. He doesn't play like somebody who just picked up basketball in the last couple of years.
And he plays much bigger than the 6'8" measurement, no question about that. And this West Virginia team isn't as tall as Bob Huggins' teams have been in the past, but yet the way that they play, the three sophomore frontline players that start for West Virginia, they play much bigger than their physical stature.
Miles. Rebound for Stevenson, and Pitt out of the double team, had it plucked away by Miles. Allen rimmed it out. And a senior slams on the brakes, Jonathan Milligan for Pitt.
And now Pitt needs to make sure they can execute their offense and get the ball into the hands of guys that they want making plays and shooting the basketball.
No go for Milligan. Allen out of the double team. West Virginia ball. Teddy Allen came in on Tuesday. 2 fouls, 2 turnovers in 3 minutes. And his passing's been a little bit erratic so far. He's coming out.
One of the things for when you're playing for Bob Huggins, you have to understand your role. That's important, but also understand that don't hurt your team on the offensive end of the floor when you work so hard defensively. Another turnover for West Virginia, and it's not something that West Virginia has been great at. You know, they've had their issues with turnovers as well. They're third now in the game, but the way that they play defensively, they play so hard, you don't want to just give the basketball away when you get it back in those opportunities because you've done so many good things to be able to get that turnover normally on the possession.
Don't think Bob Huggins is terribly enamored with the officiating so far tonight after the length of conversation there.
Well, I played against Bob Huggins back in 1993 and watched him throughout his career as a coach. I haven't seen many games where he has been enamored with the officiating, so I won't say that that's anything out of the ordinary here this evening.
Wilson frame is short. Luther an offensive rebound, and Bolden got him on the arm. Free throws for Luther. When we come back, Pittsburgh staying close at home in the first meeting since 2012.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Audi.
West Virginia leading Pitt 26-17, but in this series, the Panthers, it's a good look for you, by the way, the Panthers 9-2 in this building against the Mountaineers historically. Did you get that from your closet?
No.
You sure about that?
I'm positive.
That would look good.
No, I could pull it off.
Human snow globe, Corey Alexander.
I could definitely pull it off. But you see Ryan Luther at the free throw line. Pittsburgh already 10 for 13 from the line. This is really where they've been able to stay in the game. And West Virginia is a team that will use its fouls, no question about that. So for Pittsburgh, they've got to be able to take advantage of their opportunities when they get to the line. Only 3 of 14 from the field thus far in this game, but the free throw line keeping them in it.
2 assists, 6 turnovers so far for Pittsburgh, and some open looks at the rim, but the defense does kind of heat you up as you're getting closer to the goal.
That's it. It has not been the beautiful game thus far for the Panthers, but they are still within striking distance. And oftentimes playing against West Virginia, they can get you out of the game early to where you feel as though there's not even an opportunity for you to play anymore.
That's a foul on Eligoma, so the 6th foul against Pittsburgh.
And all 6 fouls for Pittsburgh are against their bigs. Eligoma now has his 2nd. Terrell Brown has 2, and Ryan Luther has 2, although Luther came in and did a very good job of playing without picking up that 3rd foul for about a 7-minute stretch here midway through this first half.
Yeah, 14:01 to now for Luther without a foul. 8 to shoot for Carter. He does, and buries it.
And that time, cheating the shot clock actually hurt the Oakland Zoo. Because the thing is, what they don't recognize is you don't want to count down the shot clock when the ball is in the hands of Javon Carter. You want to do that with someone else. No, they didn't fool Carter because he had a plain view of the shot clock. But that gives him an opportunity just to go one-on-one, and he's normally going to beat the guy in front of him.
You don't want to instigate that guy, is basically what you're saying.
Not that guy.
Catch and shoot, Wilson frame. And this is West Virginia basketball. Well, Pittsburgh at 5-4, West Virginia 8-1, the only loss to Texas A&M in Germany. And the Mountaineers with a couple more games before Big 12 play starts. Pittsburgh has 3 more non-conference games after this one. Kevin Stallings.
Both these teams come into this game streaking. West Virginia on an 8-game winning streak, and Pittsburgh with a 4-game winning streak of its own.
Carter, another. And a technical foul against Kevin Stallings.
Kevin Stallings did not like the way Cameron Davis was hit coming off of that screen. And made his displeasure unknown to the officiating staff. And still continues to make his displeasure known to the officiating staff.
If he's not careful, he's going to be out of here. So Carter is a 91% shooter, goes to the line.
And Stallings is a 25-year veteran of the coaching sidelines. He knows how far he can go, what he can get away with, what he cannot. But you see Cameron Davis getting hit there, trying to get off that screen. Javon Carter knocks down the 3-pointer.
And what did we hear when J.D. Collins came to talk to us before the season? They've expanded the coach's box, and there's going to be zero tolerance if you get out of the coach's box this year. Kevin Stallings was on the floor, and that's one of those situations where the coaches know it, and you end up with a technical foul.
And you don't leave the official any choice but to call it. I think people don't realize that our officials also get graded. They have superiors that they have to look to as well in a certain type of standard that they have to conduct. So therefore, they have to make that call.
Blue jerseys everywhere defensively. The zone flashes over. Another turnover for Pittsburgh. Carter up ahead. He is fouled before the shot, and he'll get a 1-and-1. Tuesday night NBA special on ESPN. Lonzo and the Lakers in New York to battle the Knicks, and Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and the Sixers against Big Cat and Jimmy Butler and the T-Wolves, streaming live on the ESPN app. Javon Carter will have himself an NBA career?
I do believe so. I think that his toughness allows him to play against anyone. He can shoot the basketball. He makes very good plays at the point guard position, but defensively, what he's able to do one-on-one is special. And that's just not something that you can teach. You can't just say, hey, go out there and be a lockdown defender. Either you are or you aren't. You had the opportunity to work with him at the Nike Basketball Academy this summer amongst a lot of NBA scouts being there, and they liked a lot of what they saw from Javon Carter, and more importantly, his leadership skills.
That was an acting job by Carr. He just lost the ball.
Well, he's not winning any awards for that acting job.
Carter. Oh, my goodness. Timeout, Kevin Stallings, to argue with at least a couple of the officials. Javon Carter owns this thing.
Javon Carter has scored 10 points in a hurry and doing most of his damage from beyond the arc.
In a row for West Virginia, and that's why Kevin Stallings took the timeout. And look, after Jamie Dixon, who was here for 17 years on the bench in one way or another, Kevin Stallings has had a tough act to follow. He's only had 2 losing seasons in his entire coaching career, one of them being last year a game under.
And Kevin Stallings is a very good basketball coach. There's no question about that. The thing is Kevin Stallings is coming to a different demographic and having to recruit. He has pieces that he likes in this program, but they're young. And having to be in the ACC with a young team is not a recipe for success. And you see right there a beautiful play designed by Kevin Stallings. He will get his guys in the right position to make plays, but it's up to the guys in gold out there to be able to go out there and make them. And you see a missed opportunity once again for the Panthers.
That's the reputation, right? Is great tactician on the bench.
He is that, no question about it. And you can see, and West Virginia, talking with Larry Harrison, the associate head coach for West Virginia, the first thing he said, he's like, this guy's good. He gets them where they need to be, get some shots. But they've got to make them. The more pressure we put on them to keep them out of their offensive sets, the more difficult it is for them to make those shots.
Wilson frame out of the double team, 5 to shoot. Stewart the pitch. Catch and shoot 3 is no good. And off the Carr miss, here comes Miles. Carr the hit ahead, and a slam for Stevenson. This is old school Oakland Zoo right now. Old Big East days.
Yeah. That's the way it's supposed to be in this building. And I'm glad that the Oakland Zoo came up to support the Panthers here tonight. And I'm sure that's a lot of the reason why they've been able to hang in this game with West Virginia so far. They're getting that great energy from the crowd.
West couldn't find the ears on the rebound. Wilson frame, fading away, missed it. Bender the rebound.
Pittsburgh's going to look back at halftime and think about how many easy opportunities they've missed right at the rim. I can probably count 3 to 4 just easy layups that they've missed already in this game. But a lot of that goes to the pressure that West Virginia puts on you, really wears into your legs, and more importantly, has you thinking about where are the defenders anytime you have an opportunity.
Carter and Miles, 2-man game. Boy, they've done that for so many years, nearly 230 games combined.
Yeah, and you know what? When you think about it and you look at the careers of these two guys, which one would you think actually started every game as a freshman?
You'd think Carter.
You would think Carter, but it was actually Miles who started all 35 games as a freshman at West Virginia, although Carter was a all Big 12 defensive player as a freshman.
Defense has turned it up an extra notch tonight, 38-20 West Virginia. Funny enough, Corey was actually promoting the Heisman Trophy presentation earlier after I asked him to lunch. The Heisman pose. It's nice.
That's kind of a stiff arm. It was more of a stiff arm than a Heisman pose, but you know.
You're a company man.
Still something. Still something.
You throw good for Stevenson.
Who you got for Heisman?
I mean, they're announcing it like right now. I'd give it to Lamar Jackson, but I don't think that's going to happen.
So would I. I would go with Lamar Jackson as well. I think it's going to go to Baker Mayfield, but I would definitely go with Lamar Jackson. What he's been able to do.
He's a transcendent player. He's just a different guy.
Absolutely.
You can make an argument for Javon Carter right now, 14 points in this game.
He would be more of the, the Charles Woodson type, the defensive back / receiver, returner, a guy like that would go out and get a Heisman on both sides of the field.
10 to shoot for Bolden. He will. He knocks it down.
And he's on the line. Bolden doesn't like those twos as much as he does the three. He'll take it. He'll take the points, but Lutz get it done from beyond the arc, coming in shooting close to 50% from three-point range.
Carr driving kick to the corner, and the miss for Davis. That 2 for Bolden, by the way, Corey, and it's odd for West Virginia. First bench points tonight.
Well, we talked about West Virginia, and this team is not as deep as Bob Huggins' teams have been over the past. And then, of course, Ansel Ahmad still out, unable to play right now. So when he comes back, you're talking about a double-figure score from a year ago, the second leading scorer on the team. You get him back in this lineup for Big 12 play. Now you're looking at having someone coming off the bench able to knock down shots, similar to Parker Stewart knocking down the three.
First 3 for him, the 13th of his young career. He came in only with 2 twos and 12 threes for his college career.
And didn't get off to a great shooting start early in this year, but Kevin Stallings sticking with him. Have been shooting the ball much better, especially during the 4-game winning streak of the Panthers.
Second chance for West. And 2 shots for Luther. West Virginia's getting a little bit loose with its shot selection, don't you think?
Well, they are, but also look, at this is one of the very few times that you look on the court and you don't see Javon Carter or Daxter Miles in the game. And now you see Bob Huggins recognizing that you got a great coaching mind there, sir, by the way. Because as you mentioned that, Bob Huggins is putting both of his senior guards back into the game, making sure that he does not allow his lead to slip away going into halftime.
That is for sure the first time anybody's ever said that to me, so thank you. Luther, the miss. They missed him last year, don't you think?
I do believe so. Ron Luther, was a guy a year ago who really gave Pittsburgh a spark off the bench, and when he was injured, that team just kind of took a nosedive. They got off to a great start, winning a couple games, beating Virginia here, a ranked Virginia team here in an overtime game. But once he got hurt, they just kind of fell off, and really couldn't find their identity. Had a couple of suspensions, some disciplinary problems, and season just kind of went downhill for Kevin Stallings' group.
Stress fracture in his right foot on January 17th. As West Virginia gets 2 for Bolden.
I like the move by Bolden there. Very crafty to absorb the bump and then finish. And now we see West Virginia getting into that 1-3-1 defense. And you see they pressure you all the way out the half court, but there's never a time where they want you to feel comfortable when you have the ball on the offensive end of the floor.
Stevenson, the rebound, he got bumped and no call. 20 fouls in this game. That one, you would think, would have drawn a whistle.
You think that was a foul?
I thought he got hit.
Okay.
You don't?
No. I said you had a great coaching mind. I didn't say anything about your refereeing ability.
The up and down the court thing might have been a struggle. Carter, another one. Javon Carter.
And I love it. He's just smiling as he walks back to get to his spot in the 1-3-1. It's amazing to watch a guy grow as a player. Javon Carter was always a great defender, but when you see how he's grown on the offensive end of the floor, it's really a true testament to his work ethic and as well as development in Bob Huggins' system.
Just look at his eyes as he's coming down the court. I mean, you folks saw it at home. He is so locked in, Javon Carter.
And he's like that all the time. He plays pickup basketball that way. That's why when you ask, is he a guy that's an NBA prospect? Absolutely, because one of the things that the NBA relishes is competitors. And Javon Carter, if not the best, definitely one of the best competitors in college basketball today. And I believe his toughness will will him to an NBA career.
West Virginia does have some foul trouble, and Carter's part of it. 2 for him, 2 for Konate, and 2 for Wes Harris.
That's the reason why Bob Huggins has them playing the 1-3-1 zone instead of at the full court man-to-man pressure.
And by the way, as you prophesied, Baker Mayfield is your Heisman winner 2017.
And not as though he's not deserving. I don't want to take that away because Baker Mayfield had a great season this year. You know, and he caught a lot of flack for some off-the-court things. You know, for when you look at the incident versus Kansas, you know, of course, you would have liked for that not to have happened. But I'm going to tell you right now, waving the flag and planting it at the center of the O at Ohio State, I like it. I don't care if he got a bad rep or not. I can appreciate it because he went back to what happened to him a year prior. I like that statement that he made.
Well, you want that guy in your locker room.
Absolutely.
This guy, too. Javon Carter, 10 to play in the first half, and he wants the ball. Carter with Davis. Carter left it short. And that'll do it for half number 1. But West Virginia had too much for Pitt in the first 20 minutes. First time they've met since 2012. And West Virginia leads by 18. Now we go to the studio. Kevin, Jay, and Seth Greenberg. Take it away. Pittsburgh, West Virginia has the lead 45-27 at the break. Jason Benetti, Corey Alexander. Pitt was 5 for 22 from the floor in the first half, but not for lack of opportunities.
Well, and they didn't take advantage of those opportunities. Too many missed layups, too many easy opportunities when they beat the West Virginia pressure that they didn't take advantage of. Oh, and speaking of taking advantage of, West Virginia took advantage of the three-point line. 8 for 16 in the first half, knocking down the 3-ball. Javon Carter, 4 for 5 on his own. And West Virginia has almost outscored Pittsburgh with just his 3-pointers. 24 points off his threes to Pitt's 27 points in this game. That doesn't even take into account the points off of turnovers.
We thought that might be a place where Pitt could gain some traction in this game because West Virginia is about 300th in the country in three-point defense. Pitt has only been 2 for 10 from the three-point line.
And I believe a lot of that has to do with West Virginia putting so much pressure on you. When you get those looks, you've got tired legs or you're rushing those shots and not taking advantage of them. But Pitt's going to have to make some three-pointers here in this second half if they want to make this a game.
How about that guy, Javon Carter, just bouncing up and down immediately after 20 minutes straight on the floor, essentially.
And it's nothing for him. I remember Javon Carter back in AAU playing against him when he was playing for Team NLP.
3 for Davis to open the scoring in the second half.
And that's a great start for Pittsburgh. Knocking down the 3. We mentioned they're going to need some of those threes. You have to take advantage of those against this West Virginia defense, but what you can't do is give up easy opportunities. And not only the easy opportunity for West Virginia to score, but now they set up that pressure once again.
Great find from Carter to Dax Miles, the 2 senior guards.
Now, I like this move by Kevin Stallings to have Ryan Luther bring the ball up the floor against Konate, but it does take the ball out of your primary playmaker's hands.
Davis wanted his second in a row, and he missed. Lamont West had a loud first 10 minutes of that first half.
It wasn't heard from much after that, but he did some damage early, knocking down 3 quick three-pointers. But it was hard to hear of anybody after Javon Carter got going.
Front iron on that one. Wes Harris got a hand on it, but couldn't bring it in. Pittsburgh all time has only lost 42 games in this building.
You know, one of the things for Pittsburgh to be successful, they need Marcus Carr to be able to play well, averaging 19 points per game over his last 3 games. But with Carr having to deal with that pressure from West Virginia, he's been more of a playmaker, trying to be more of a ball handling playmaker than he has a scorer. And it's really, you know, I won't say hurt his team, but it doesn't give his team a chance to be successful when he's not scoring the basketball.
That foul on Konate, his 3rd. He was at halftime one of 5 West Virginia players with 2 personal fouls, so that could become an issue for Bob Huggins here in the second half.
And Kevin Stallings making an adjustment, knowing that West Virginia is going to be out in passing lanes, two back-to-back possessions. Pitt has tried to go backdoor against the West Virginia defense, that time coming up with the foul, trying to get Wilson Frame going as well.
He's not the most comfortable right now with the ball against his defense, wouldn't you agree?
No, he's not, and that's the thing. If you're going to have Marcus Carr as your primary ball handler, but you take him out of it, now someone else has to be a playmaker, and I don't believe that that's really in the DNA of any of the Pitt Panthers outside of Marcus Carr.
That's the 3rd foul on Wes Harris. So Harris and Konate both with 3 for West Virginia.
You see the move right here, Ryan Luther being the primary ball handler and just trying to initiate the offense.
You like that shot or no?
A shooter taking that shot, you don't mind it, but quick shots often can be the same as turnovers, especially when you don't keep West Virginia off the glass and keep giving them opportunities. But West Virginia, if they don't turn you over, which they do on 28% of their opponent's offensive possessions, they want you to take a quick shot. Because what that does is, normally if it's a quick 3, it gets them out in transition to where they don't have to play against your half-court defense. So, you know, but you look at it, if you get a quick shot or a turnover on 50% of your possessions, it makes West Virginia a much better offensive team.
Off the inbound pass, a 3 buried by Wes Harris. Don't you think Bob Huggins deserves a lot of credit for changing midstream as a coach his style of play?
You know what? Great minds think alike. And I'm not even going to say yours, but mine. I was thinking the same thing. But I really was thinking that. You know, I talked to Bob Huggins about 3-4 years ago, and I asked him, I said, Coach, what was the change? Now, I remember playing against the Cincinnati team, and they were a pressure team. And then when he went to West Virginia, they weren't as much, and he said people always talked about that we couldn't shoot. So I went out and got guys that could shoot, that could score, but they didn't play defense and they didn't play hard. So I went back to getting my type of guys, and that was the birth of Press Virginia and what has been over the past 4 seasons in Morgantown.
2 and a foul for Wilson Frame. That last Harris bucket, by the way, was a 2 in the corner. One of the officials put the hand in the air, but that was a 2 for Harris, so a 15-point game right now.
And speaking of 15 points, Wilson Frame with 15 points after halftime in their game Tuesday against Mount St. Mary's. Didn't have a big first half here today, but has come out very aggressive here in the second half.
Foul against West Virginia. 13 in the first half, and that is the second on Miles for the game.
You see Dr. Miles starting the offense, and you see it's an offensive foul. That arm goes up and makes contact with Marcus Carr above the head. That's an offensive foul.
Second of the half against Miles, 3rd for the game for Dax Miles. And here comes West Virginia the other way.
Now that's the problem with having Ryan Luther initiating your offense. Oftentimes trying to make plays that aren't really in his wheelhouse to be able to make. He's not a point guard, not used to making point guard plays, but trying to make one there, which ends up being a turnover for the Panthers.
With the Backyard Brawl name, you would imagine there would be a lot of contact, and then following that, a lot of whistles. And there have been so far in the second half, 7 combined fouls. Off the Bender screen and roll, he left it short. Wilson Frame has found his shot. Bender down low, got position for two, and Machi Bender's first bucket.
And Bender getting more minutes because of foul trouble to Konate. Coming in, doing a very good job of screening and, more importantly, making himself available around the basket. I'd like to see Wilson Frame continue to be aggressive on the offensive end of the floor for Pittsburgh.
Carr had it pinned by Carter from behind. Luther, the head fake for two.
The adjustment by the Panthers has allowed them to settle in and get into their half-court offense by putting Ryan Luther as the primary ball handler at the top of the key and doing a much better job settling in on the offensive end of the floor and taking advantage of their opportunities.
Seven to shoot for Carter. Against Luther, left it short. And a big offensive rebound for West. What do we have? It's a foul called against Pittsburgh. Ryan Luther and the Panthers on the comeback trail.
And Ryan Luther, the senior, has to be more effective to get his Panthers back into the game.
Peterson Event Center. It's a 6-point gain for Pittsburgh here in the second half. Jason Benetti, Corey Alexander along with you. And what has allowed Pitt to make it from 18 to 12?
Well, one thing coaches always talk about is the first 5 minutes of the second half and how important they are when you come out of the locker room. And thus far, Pittsburgh is 4 for 7 from the field and only 1 turnover in the second half. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Kevin Stallings' adjustment to put Ryan Luther at the top of the key, allow him to be the primary ball handler, and therefore it takes away the pressure from West Virginia. So when you think about that, that's really been the biggest adjustment so far. Great job by Kevin Stallings and making adjustments at halftime.
6 years at Illinois State, 17 at Vanderbilt. And now his second season at Pittsburgh, but Bolden bags a three at a big time for West Virginia.
We talked about Bolden, his ability to shoot the basketball, coming into the game at 48% from the three. And he's not bashful at all. A young man averaging double figures coming off the bench for West Virginia. And Bob Huggins, you mentioned, he talked to you earlier about the fact that he needs more bench scoring. Bolden is definitely one of the guys that can make that happen.
He's a young man who's got a tattoo on his leg that says, "A moment of pain is worth a lifetime of glory." And part of that comes from his tearing of his ACL in September of 2015. There you see it on the side of his ankle. But he tears his ACL basically the last practice in open gym before official practice starts. And a big-time shooter for West Virginia.
Now West Virginia going to the 1-3-1 defense again. Foul trouble has forced them as Ryan Luther comes up with another offensive rebound to put back the third leading rebounder in the ACC. Luther coming in averaging a 10th of a rebound under a double-double on the season so far. And after getting off to foul trouble at the beginning of this game, has really had a solid performance.
Carter is called for an offensive foul, throwing the shoulder.
I don't believe Javon Carter knows at this point that the foul is on him.
No, he was going to the free throw line.
Yeah, I could look at his reaction. He didn't know that the foul was on him. He thought the foul was on. Yeah, he did not know that was on him. He was surprised to hear that.
So that's 4 on Carter.
Yeah, that's a huge foul. And that 1-3-1 for West Virginia. Now you have to think about, you have Konate and Carter both on the bench. 2 starters sitting out right now for Bob Huggins in foul trouble.
They might go the way of that Alabama game from earlier this year, finished with 3 players. Foul called. Stevenson to the free throw line.
And Bob Huggins has a point on that one. That looked to be an offensive foul. Stevenson's left arm came away from his body as he was going to the rim. Bob Huggins immediately saying that's a push-off. Great angle here as you see that left arm go away. That's tough there. I think that one probably should have gone the other way as an offensive foul.
What will the lineup look like down the stretch if the foul trouble continues? Carter with 4 fouls, Harris with 4 fouls, and 3 for Miles and Konate.
Well, you would like to say that Javon Carter, for as great as he is as a player, is the one guy that you can't lose for West Virginia. But when you have Bolden and you do have Dax Miles, you still have experienced players, more importantly, that can defend and put the ball in the basket for West Virginia. So it's not the worst thing that can happen for West Virginia, but they're nowhere near as good without Javon Carter on the floor.
Pitt only 1 second-half turnover. Stewart just missed.
And that's one of those shots you just feel the momentum going in Pitt's favor, and you expect to see that shot go down. I know the Oakland Zoo was ready to erupt right behind us.
This could be a star turn late in the game for Bolden. He may see a lot of playing time with Carter out.
Well, I believe that Bob Huggins actually trusts Bolden. I don't think that's anything out of the ordinary. But when you think about the fact that you don't have Konate out there as well, the defense really struggles, in my opinion, for West Virginia more than the offense does.
This place wanted Luther to pull the trigger. He didn't. Milligan to Stewart. And a foul against the Panthers on the rebound action.
And that's going to be Luther, and that's going to be 3 on him. So now he's going to have to be very careful over this last 12 minutes and make sure he stays on the floor for his Panthers.
Bolden and Miles playing together in the backcourt. Lamont West got his feet set. And Stewart the board. Carr the skip, 10 to shoot. Carr, the freshman, to Luther, and they're going to get a foul on Carr on the drive.
Marcus Carr finding his way into the paint. A beautiful feed to Ryan Luther, who picks up the and one opportunity when we return.
Take a look at this week's menu, brought to you by Panera Bread. Arizona State, Kansas will be a good one. You just saw Cincinnati earlier, then Villanova Temple in Philly, but that's an interesting Arizona State, Kansas matchup.
It is. A game playing probably about 2 weeks too early. Sam Cunliffe, who was an All-American freshman at Arizona State last year, left the program, transferred to Kansas midway during the season. Will not be eligible to play in that game. But I'm sure that's one Bobby Hurley is going to make sure his team is up for and ready to go. Bobby's always got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder anyway.
That's right.
But they're going to be ready to go against Kansas, knowing that one of their guys left them to join the Jayhawks.
Foul was late on the play. Luther with the three-point play opportunity. Miles picked up his 4th on the personal going to break, but West Virginia gets a couple from Konate.
And Bob Huggins going back to Konate with the 3 fouls, getting him back in the game, knowing that he's going to have to play without Javon Carter for a few minutes here in this second half to protect his All-American point guard. And Konate paying it off on the first possession back in.
Stewart nearly traveled. Carr got a 3. Single digits for the first time since 26-18. Konate, no. Pittsburgh basketball.
Marcus Carr has been more of a facilitator than he has been a scorer, but an opportunity from beyond the arc, shooting 58.3% from three-point range during the 4-game winning streak of the Panthers, and is true from the wing.
D'Angelo Hunter, who plays 6 minutes a game, is in on-the-ball defense with Milligan.
But you see now Pittsburgh can run their normal offense and run their sets because they're not fearful of Javon Carter defending the basketball, so therefore Milligan can go back to the point guard position.
Carr, the kick. Stevenson, the three! The freshmen have lit up the Pitt.
Marcus Carr with the beautiful find to Stevenson. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a backyard brawl.
That these games, the backyard brawl can create comebacks because he played in them. 1975 to 77.
And we mentioned earlier that none of these players have actually played in this backyard brawl. The only person that has ever been involved in it before tonight was Bob Huggins, and he knows just how big of a rivalry this is. West Virginia came out at the beginning of the game recognizing that, and Pitt has brought the fight to the brawl here in the second half.
How long can Bob Huggins keep Javon Carter on the bench?
The way that he plays, he's always going to be in a situation where he could pick up a foul because he is so aggressive on the floor. I honestly believe he's going to have to keep him to at least the under 8 timeout, if not longer than that, to make sure he has him on the game at the end, on the floor at the end of the game.
Stevenson off the back cut, gets the bucket and a whistle.
Jason, earlier I told you that Kevin Stallings was a great tactician. He can get his guys in position to make plays. It's just up to the guys in goal to be able to make them. A beautiful play coming out of a timeout. Great design by Kevin Stallings right there, taking advantage of the aggressiveness of the Pitt defenders and then being in the passing lane. And just as you mentioned that, Javon Carter back in the game. For Bob Huggins, he can no longer sit back and watch his team struggle on the defensive end, as now we find ourselves in a 3-point game.
(14-2) run. Down low, 2 for West.
And now you see the full-court pressure from the Panthers, from the Mountaineers, but you won't see Javon Carter pressing the basketball, dropping back into the 1-3-1 in order to protect Carter on the back line.
Luther, catch and shoot. They may have needed renovations if he hit that.
Are you saying the roof would have come off?
Something would.
Something was going to shake loose, huh?
Foul called against Pitt. It's on Milligan, his second.
West Virginia a bit unconventional on the offensive end of the floor, especially when they run that triangle in the middle, 2 wings. But a lot of times what they like to do is post Dax Miles. And with his strength, he's normally going to have an advantage over guys. Even if he's giving away a couple inches, he's a lot stronger than most of the guards he's going to play against on the block.
4 freshmen on the floor right now for Pitt. Into the corner. Second chance for Harris and West Virginia. Pitt's defense is locked down. 10 to shoot. Miles off the turnaround, and Luther clears it.
And a great defensive possession by the Panthers there, forcing a tough shot by Daxter Miles. And now Pitt with an opportunity to make this a one-possession game again.
Off the tip, Pittsburgh will keep it. The lead is a nickel. The backyard brawl is a dandy tonight.
The Pittsburgh Panthers have outscored West Virginia 26-13 in the second half, and a lot of it has to do with the great ball movement, finding their teammates, and more importantly, only one turnover in the second half has allowed the Panthers to shoot 56% from the field and cut into that West Virginia lead. The Panthers feeling great about themselves here on their home court.
What is the adjustment in the second half that Kevin Stallings made that has led to this?
Well, honestly, I think the initial adjustment was making Ryan Luther the primary ball handler, putting him at the top of the key, and not allowing Javon Carter defensively to get involved in the game. And then we see another opportunity missed by Pittsburgh, which we saw a lot of in the first half. The second time that they've had a wide open alley-oop that just was not executed, and that could have made it a three-point game. So now it's up to Pitt to come up and get a stop.
Bolden makes sure that won't happen.
And this is what good teams do. Again, West Virginia is playing on the road. This is a very good Pitt environment. Pittsburgh makes a mistake on the offensive end of the floor, not capitalizing on the alley-oop, and then West Virginia makes it a 5-point swing, coming up knocking down a huge three.
Stevenson went with the reverse, and Luther's there to clean it up.
I love the way Ryan Luther just goes about his business. We mentioned, you know, the third leading rebounder in the ACC at 9.9 a game, but he does a great job on the offensive boards, not only protecting his team defensively, but gaining multiple opportunities for his team at the rim.
A Pennsylvania native, you know how important this game is. Bolden hemmed in, fade away, well short.
And just like that, another rebound for Luther. Now his 10th rebound on the game, into double figures. A double-double for him, 11 points, 10 rebounds for Ryan Luther. Actually 13 points in this game so far.
He's got the skip pass, but not a clean catch for Davis. Three and a foul! Marcus Carr!
The ball movement so important for Pittsburgh, especially against this 1-3-1 zone of West Virginia. Marcus Carr, we talked about the freshman shooting 58% from three-point range during this 4-game winning streak of the Panthers, coming up with a big bucket and opportunity for a 4-point play to make this a 2-point game.
The freshman out of Toronto and Montverde Academy, the high school powerhouse, not only knocks down a big shot, but he fouls out Wes Harris as well.
And we talked about the foul trouble from West Virginia. And the way that West Virginia plays, they're going to have a lot of fouls. Bob Huggins' team does not have the personnel. They don't have the depth that he's had over the past few years, so they don't press as often. But really where that does hurt you, you don't have those reserves to where a guy like Javon Carter gets into foul trouble. You can afford to have him sitting on the bench. You've got to play guys in foul trouble for the Mountaineers.
Tangled bodies down low, and it was Stevenson along with Lamont West. Stevenson gets called for it.
When you watch this Pittsburgh team, as a fan of the Panthers, you have to be excited about what you have going. There are 4 freshmen on the floor right now, along with Ryan Luther.
Carter, no. Konate the rebound. And he scores and a foul. What a big shot.
Offensive rebounding, such a staple of what Bob Huggins' teams are about. Never really great offensive teams, but they make themselves so much better by gaining multiple opportunities, averaging well over 14 offensive rebounds per game, and doing a great job on the offensive glass once again tonight.
Eight rebounds Tuesday against Virginia for Sagabon Kanate. And he missed the free throw. Battle is on, and Pitt has it.
Because of foul trouble, you see West Virginia getting back into the 1-3-1 zone and not really pressuring in the backcourt, allowing Pitt to get comfortable and find their spots on the offensive end of the floor.
No good for Wilson Frame off the pass from Carr, who's been very active in the second half. Carter's got to be careful of that fifth foul. Six to shoot. Javon Carter into the lane. And he scores.
Big bucket by Carter. And recognizing that he didn't want to settle for a jump shot when things aren't going your way, it's more important for you to get the ball and get into that paint and get it up on the glass. Even if he doesn't make that shot, he gives his teammates an opportunity for an offensive rebound.
Corey, his first points of the second half, so big. And the freshman Davis couldn't sink the three.
But you're seeing the experience of the Mountaineers right now, getting the ball in the hands of their leader in Carter, allowing him to go out and make plays.
Kanate went over Luther, and Pitt has the rebound. Where do you look for the offense if you're Pitt?
Well, you got to look at Wilson Frame and then, of course, Marcus Carr trying to find these guys on the perimeter after great ball movement. But Stevenson has done a very good job attacking the rim. And speaking of attacking the rim, there are very few that do it better than the All-American Javon Carter. A big two for the Mountaineers.
Well, they're going to have to wait because we got a good one in the backyard brawl. It's a 6-point game and 2 free throws coming for Pitt. If folks have just joined, what's been the difference here for Pittsburgh in the second half?
They've been handling the pressure for West Virginia and keeping West Virginia's defense out of it. And a lot of it has to do with foul trouble as well. Javon Carter had to sit out. Wesley Harris already fouled out of this game. Carter with 4 fouls really changes the defensive outlook from Bob Huggins in the way that he wants to play, because he has to protect Carter and keep him on the floor, which is part of the reason why West Virginia has gone to the 1-3-1. And when Pittsburgh has executed against the 1-3-1, they've gotten a number of great looks, including some three-pointers.
Second chance. Wilson Frame on the offensive rebound. Javon Carter nearly just had his first steal of the night. He's got 256 in his career, but none this evening, and part of that has got to be the foul trouble.
It really has, in the way that they've had to play, because he's not up getting the pressure as often. And so therefore he's sitting back in the 1-3-1, and it doesn't necessarily take away the aggressiveness of West Virginia defensively, but it does take away the aggressiveness of Javon Carter and his ability to go out and just lock his man down individually.
Don't think Wilson Frame, as that's a kick ball, don't think Wilson Frame knew the over the backcourt rule, because he kind of got mixed up on that inbound pass. Ball went into the backcourt and he tracked it down, but with the kick, the shot clock back to 20. Got to establish in the front court in order for a backcourt violation to be called. Ball deflected and stolen. Carter up ahead to Miles, and the two seniors will navigate this thing. Dax Miles down the lane for 2.
What a luxury to have a guy like Dax Miles as your second option But that play was designed by Huggins it was an ISO. And you saw Chase Harler in the way. Dax Miles talking to Harler before the possession even got going. And then once they got everyone in the position, it was simply Dax Miles doing what he does, finding his way to the rim.
Miles and Carter combined have just 6 in the second half.
And that's been the difference. When we talk about those two guys were able to get going very well in the first half, Carter had 4 3-pointers, was 4 for 5 from 3 in the first half. Miles hit a 3 in the first half. And then, but because they weren't able to turn Pittsburgh over in the second half, the West Virginia offense is nearly as good when they're not being able to play up and down. When they have to play against a half-court defense, their offense struggles a bit.
Soon to be an 1,000-point scorer, Daxter Miles, senior out of Baltimore. And he and Carter last year were not chopped livers, certainly, 22 points a game, but they have upped that to 34 points a game this season.
Well, and they're seniors, and they're relied upon much more heavily this year, and they're also playing without Asa Ahmad, who was a double-figure scorer last year. So when you lose a guy like that and don't have his production, look at Ryan Luther on the glass, unable to finish it, but a great opportunity right there for Pittsburgh once again to put points on the board.
You know Luther's thinking that he should have come down with that ball.
But he shouldn't have. He made the right play. Just got to finish it. But again, had he come down with it, he would allow the Pittsburgh defenders to be able to guard him.
And a timeout called for West Virginia and Bob Huggins. Tonight on ESPN, Bucci and Anderson have Sports Center at midnight Eastern. With questions on the screen, why'd the Yankees trade for Stanton?
Because we are about winning World Series. I'm a Yankees fan. It's a great trade, by the way.
Can we erase that graphic? We just walked into a mousetrap. We'll talk about Baker Mayfield as well. The Cavaliers and 76ers join us. Sports Center, midnight Eastern.
I know you're a White Sox guy, and I know you would hate to see that coming up on the screen, but my Yankees.
This went crazy.
Those are my Yankees. My Yankees. Huge deal.
Stanton is actually bigger than a horse. Saw the horse there in the student section. Did you see the tweet that Didi Gregorius had earlier?
I did not.
He said, Skip, am I still batting fourth?
The answer to that will be no. He's going to get straight crickets on that one.
By the way, I mean, how many pitches will everybody else see other than Sanchez, Stanton, and Judge? Everybody else is going to get fastballs down the middle. It's not fair.
I tell you what, it's fair if you're a Yankees fan. We've been too long without a World Series championship.
Oh, boo-hoo. 7-point game. Bolden with 5 to shoot. Miles on Stewart. Dexter Miles. Oh, what a play.
That's what you call the veteran. Dax runs back, shaking his head. The Oakland Zoo, you're not going to fool me. I've got a clear view of the shot clock. 5 seconds is more than enough time to get an easy layup.
Luther with a big screen to set up Stewart. And the ship may have just sailed for the Panthers tonight.
Well, that was a tough one. Still a 3-possession game right now. But if you're Pittsburgh, I don't think you can sit back and allow West Virginia to run their offense. You got to get some pressure on these guys to try to speed them up a little bit.
Currently an 8-1 run for West Virginia after leading by 2, 61-59. Carter delivers. Miles can't hit. And we'll see what Pitt has left. Carr dropped the shoulder. Offensive foul.
In a hostile environment, the leaders of this West Virginia team have stepped up. We've seen Javon Carter make a big play. Daxter Miles with a number of big baskets. And then it's the young guy, Bolden, stepping in and taking the charge, regaining possession for his team.
No foul here for Pitt, down 9, 40 seconds to go.
I don't think that they've necessarily managed this very well, simply because when you think about the last 2 possessions, they have allowed West Virginia to keep the ball for 45 seconds. If you think of the 30 on the first possession and now 15 on this possession, 45 seconds where they pretty much wasted in this game, where they could have fouled West Virginia, try to put them at the line, and get opportunities on the offensive end of the floor.
And when you're down 2 possessions or more and you're under a minute, it's almost a guarantee that you should foul by the numbers. didn't happen there.
Didn't happen there, and now you put West Virginia on the line with the opportunity to make this a 4-possession game, but more importantly, you don't have time on your side.
Under 30, 185th matchup. Luther, no. Rebound for Carter, and
but see, again, they're still waiting. So Kevin Stallings has called it off. They're not going to foul, but even still, that's one where I believe you may want to try to extend that game. Don't even give up on it until the clock hits triple zeros.
Credit Javon Carter, early in the second half, had 4 fouls. He made it to the finish line, and he hugs the ball as zeros come on the clock. West Virginia survives against Pittsburgh.
Give Pitt a lot of credit for the way they were able to battle back in the second half, not turn the basketball over, and withstand the pressure from West Virginia.
So the first meeting since 2012 goes to the Mountaineers, who moved to 9-1. Pittsburgh drops to 5-5. For our entire crew, Corey Alexander, Jason Benetti saying good night from the Peterson Event Center. Coming up next, to the West Coast we go. More college basketball action. Alabama, Arizona in Tucson.